Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling, and on this episode, this is very, very cool because I'm speaking to a couple of musicians, a couple of fellow fans. We have a mutual band that we love, and these guys have taken it to the next level. On your left, I think that's how this is going to turn out, Mr. Pat McTurner, guitar player, and to his left, Frankie Raffa, vocalist of Hysteria Montreal, Def Leppard tribute. Def Leppard tribute band that's going to be coming to my neck of the woods on June 14th, playing Dolan's Pub in Fredericton. And I reached out to Pat, and we got Frankie. We got two of the members of the band, so this is very, very cool. And looking forward to the show. I've seen your promo video. It's awesome. You guys are spot on. You know, I'm a fully paid member of the Rock Brigade. So, right. Yeah, so obviously, Def Leppard is, been one of my favorite bands for years and years. I've never seen a Def Leppard tribute. I've seen the real thing 3 times, so I'm really looking forward to the show. And guys, thanks for taking a little time out this afternoon to talk about your upcoming show and the band itself, your history.
Yeah, well, thanks so much, Tim, for having both of us on here. You know, we're super excited to come down. We've been playing a lot of shows. Last year and this year in the Quebec, Ontario area, if you will. And I reached out to a gentleman named Sean McKenna, who's got Rims and Bar Stools. It's kind of same type of thing that you do. And, I messaged him on Facebook, and he hooked me up with Barry at Dolan's. He hooked us up with Fat Tony's in Pictou. Am I saying that right? Pictou?
Yes, Pictou. Yep.
It's Pictou, okay. And also we're playing Monty's on the Saturday. So we're playing June 14th, the Wednesday night in Fredericton. We're playing Pictou on the Friday, the 16th. Yeah, that's Fredericton.
Yeah, then down to Nova Scotia.
And then down to Nova Scotia on the Saturday, in Dartmouth.
We're calling it the East Coast Tour.
The East Coast little tour. Yeah. And it's strange enough, I've traveled a lot, but I've never been to the East Coast of Canada. So, our mama bears are coming down, and we're going to kind of turn it into a little tour vacation as well. Cause I really want to, I want to spend some time in the East Coast, because I heard that people like yourself are just awesome. So very excited about this.
That's a rumor we put out, so people will come. Yeah, we do have a reputation for, pretty friendly. It's I think life moves at a slightly shorter pace. We have some big cities, the parts of the East Coast are just absolutely gorgeous. You pick the right time of year to do it. So, And best part of all, we talked about this before we started recording. When you leave Fredericton and you're heading for Nova Scotia, you will see a sign that says Sheffield, because there's a little place below Fredericton called Sheffield. So now, for all I know, because of the way that the Canada was settled, it could very well have been named after Sheffield, England. Don't know. So obviously that's where Def Leppard was formed. Let's talk a little bit about how you were formed. When did this come together, and who it all is in the band, and what does everybody do? How did you decide to do this? Obviously, you're big fans to go this distance and really, really nail the vocal parts, the guitar parts. But yeah, give us a little background on how the band formed and when it all began.
Well, I was actually on a business trip. I own a transport company, and I was in Bahamas. And it was a Tuesday morning. I had a cover band for about 15 years called Backtracks. And, we did various covers. We were a really good band too. And I was laying there on the beach one day, and I said, you know what? I want to do a Def Leppard tribute. And I knew the guys I wanted, and Mr. OCD here, I just, started texting them and making calls and what have you. And we reconvened when I came back. We had a meeting. We started to rehearse. And, we probably rehearsed for a good 6-8 months. We had about 23 songs down. And, I'll talk about the Def Leppard process, a little later on. And then we basically, we had booked some shows. I think we played 3 or 4 shows. And then we all know what happened, right? Mr.
Yeah.
COVID.
That's
We all
right.
know
Yeah.
COVID hit, shut
COVID
everything
hit.
down.
Yeah, shut everything down, like Frankie Boy says here. And we had all these shows and they were all pending. And during that time, guys, they, not that they lost interest, but they got involved in other things. One guy moved away, et cetera, and I had to go after new blood, if you will, new players.
Yeah, I only actually came into the band last May. It's been about a year I've been in the band, so.
Yeah, like we had our vocalist, and what happened with him, and this just to show you how hard it is to emulate a Joe Elliott vocal. He tore all his vocal chambers. Yeah, he was a younger guy. He, warm-ups are huge for any vocalist, as I'm sure you know, Tim. Okay, I mean that's like a must. He wasn't doing that, and we performed at a show. And he sounded great. And 2 days later, like he literally could not speak. He literally could not speak. And he texted me, and finally his voice came back, and he told me, he said, Pat, I can't continue to do this. And, of course I understood, right? I mean, this is a tribute band. This young guy's got his whole life ahead of him. And that's when,
Like for a slightly older, but more
efficient guy here.
More efficient.
So
There you go.
Frankie was actually at one of our shows, and got to meet him, had a beer together, started talking. And next morning, actually 2 mornings after that, when I got the news from our other singer, I reached out to Frankie because we got along well. And that's a big part of being in a band. It's one thing to be able to hammer out the songs and wail on the vocals, but any musician in a band will tell you need that chemistry, right? Because you spend a lot of time together. It's a lot of time rehearsing, a lot of time calling each other, texting, making decisions. Should we go this way? Should we go that way? Et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, so Frankie hopped on, he joined, totally committed to the project. And, getting back to the Def Leppard music, the actual playing of the music is not that hard, okay? It's not that tough musically. It's the vocals. You mentioned to anybody, if I were to say to you, Tim, hey, Def Leppard, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Yeah, it's the stacked vocals.
It's the harmonies.
Yeah.
It's the harmonies, and like I said, and I'm not taking away any playing from Def Leppard. I mean, they're kick-ass musicians and their stuff is great, but it's their layered vocals. It's their, Mutt Lange.
Harmonies.
Mutt Lange, do I need to say any more, right?
So much so that when you hear other things that Mutt has produced and sang on, for those moments he's singing, it sounds like Def Leppard.
Yeah. So that was, I'd say that was one of our biggest challenges, eh?
Yeah,
just
obviously, yeah. Trying to get the harmonies together and the vocals all blending.
Yeah, and who sings what parts? Because I know from seeing years of watching their videos, like Phil sings certain parts and Vivian sings certain parts, or Steve, Rick Savage. I mean, Rick Allen can sing, but he doesn't really do it live. And breaking out who has the best vocal range to do
different
higher, lower, middle. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's different times I'll see them, and then Joe won't sing. He'll sing a couple parts. Someone else will take it. And it just all sounds like Def Leppard, but it's figuring out, someone's got to figure out how to do that. So that's the thing I'm fascinated about here. Musically, it's fantastic. But you can look at a piece of tablature, or you can listen and see how the parts are broken down. But it's to layer those vocals. And not only that, but, where you guys are a tribute act, you can go see the actual, no matter what band we're talking about, you can go see Kiss, or you can go see Metallica. And if they don't play the song exactly as it is on the album, people don't really expect that. But if you're in a tribute band, you got to nail it. And I got to say, you know, the promo video, which we'll talk about later, you guys nail it. It sounds like Def Leppard. It's got that blend, and it's not something that. This is the first time a Def Leppard tribute has come to this area that I know of. Now, maybe they had previous, like way back in the 80s before I started going to shows, but I don't think it's the easiest thing to do.
No, it's not, Tim. You know, like I have a friend of mine. He plays in a Motley Crue tribute, and it's like he says to me, Patty. It's pretty straightforward. You know, it's pretty straightforward stuff. You know, you don't have like you had mentioned layers and layers and layers of backing vocals. And you know, like, do we do all the layering properly? We do it to the best of our ability, because I'm going to tell you a quick little story. When Def Leppard was here on the same tour as your 2019, I was at the Bell Center in Montreal, and a good buddy of mine was the guitar tech for Frank Hanna from Tesla. And he saw me in the crowd and he waved and he put a little backstage thing on me, and I went down behind the stage, and I asked him, I said, you know, Stevie, what do these guys do? Joe Elliott has four, not one, not two, not three. He has 4 vocal engineers just for him. The other members, I believe there's 3 of them, because like you say, you know, Rick Allen, drummer boy, he doesn't sing, right, live. So they have 7 vocal engineers, you know, reverb, delay, room echo chamber, etc. We're doing it with a $339 pedal. And as you can see in our promo video, you know, we come super close, but we don't have that budget, that luxury of having, you know, 6 engineers travel with us. And that makes a big difference. You know, makes a big difference. So, you know, in my opinion, we're trying to emulate one of the biggest sounding rock bands ever. And I'm really proud of the way we do it.
Yeah, it's not as easy as getting a guitar player, a couple of guitar players, a drummer, bass player, singer, and just go in a garage and bash it out. Now, you know, you might be able to do Wasted, you know, stuff off the first album, fairly straightforward. But once you get into the Mutt Lange territory and everything beyond, the layering begins. And I would imagine it would have been much the same for, you know, I know one of the biggest influence probably when Freddie Mercury was alive. I mean, I know they're still out there with Adam Lambert, but it's probably much the same thing because the vocals are so important. But I got to tell you, that's the first time I've ever heard tell of having that many techs for vocalists. You know, I know guitar tech, you have guitar techs, you have drum techs, you have lighting guys, you have guys that do the overall sound. Usually with a singer, it's like, is the microphone working? Yeah, good. But there's so much finesse in those Def Leppard recordings, and if you're trying to emulate those recordings, you gotta think on your feet, because like you said, you know, they've been doing it for years. They've sold the albums. They've got the tech. They've got the access to it. You guys got to think on your feet and be like, how can we approximate that? And I think you do a great job of approximating it.
Thank you.
Thanks. And it's like you said before,
great to hear.
We navigate it with 4 members of the band that are singing. So it's not just one. There's different parts where someone will sing, you know, when we try to blend everything. And like you say, we navigate through the songs to make them sound as close as possible with the equipment we have. Yeah.
And that's the key word that Frankie just used, is blend. You know, there has to be, like, you know, our sound checks, they're an hour and 15, sometimes an hour and 20 minutes. And it's not the instruments. You know, me and Tony, the other guitarist, takes us 6 minutes to plug in our pedal boards, do our level checks. A bassist is basically, you know, play and plug. The drummer's already set up. So instrumental level, it's pretty quick. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is the monitors. Then phase 3, and this is what is time consuming, and this is what the fans are going to hear, the crowd is going to hear, is the vocals. And it's not just Mr. Raffa here that has to, you know, stand out. It's the blend of the backing vocals. And I'll give you an example. Too Late for Love. And I'm not going to sing because you're going to want to close the screen if I do.
Like I said, there's 4 members. I
There's
think
4 members. That's
only one of them sitting here today.
yeah, and it's not me. But you know that too late for
Yeah.
love part where the like the whole band comes in. I think it's the second verse.
Yeah, it's the chorus actually.
That's amazing how they do that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And we nail that. Just nail it. You know, and in rehearsal, because I don't sing, I'm playing the leg down, 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 down. You know, I hear it because I'm not singing. And it took us a long time to get there. It really, really did. But it was just practice. You know, we rehearse every Monday night, Tim, religiously.
3 hours,
From
4
8 to 11 o'clock. That's the Hysteria night. You know, tell your wife you're busy, tell your hockey team you can't play, whatever. Because as I said to you from the beginning of this, you know, this is a commitment. And you know, you hit the nail on the head. If you're going to do this sort of music, there has to be a commitment. And there's nothing better than walking on stage, for me anyways. And I think I can speak for the other guys in the band, than nailing one of their tunes. Hopefully we nail all 24, but is, you know, nailing the songs, you know, good starts, good finishes, good clean finishes, great solos. It's an amazing feeling. It really makes all that hard work worth it.
So, yeah. So you, Pat, you're like, judging from the pictures, the guitar you use, you're the Phil of the band, right?
Yeah, I play like.
I want to see his abs. I want to see his...
Thanks, Frankie. Yeah, I do a lot of Collins parts, for sure. You know, I use the Jackson, the PC one with the Sustainiac, the squeal type thing. Yeah, I play a lot of his parts. You know, Tony and I will trade off parts. You know, a lot of it has to do depending on, you know, the mood that night of you know, what's going on, how we're feeling, type thing. You know, I had a little bit of carpal tunnel syndrome, so you know, my hand was a little bit sore there for a while, and you know, I backed away from soloing just because it was very painful to play. And you know, our other guitarist is a younger guy. I mean, just phenomenal. This he's 24-year-old guitarist, one of the nicest people I've ever met. And like, you want to see a guy fly on an axe.
So you guys rehearse to the point, does that mean you guys rehearse to the point as guitar players where you can cover each other's parts?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And so what's his name? What's your Vivian's name?
Anthony Doyle.
Anthony Doyle. Okay. And who's on bass and drums to fill it out?
We have Dennis. Okay.
Capotesco.
Thank you. Dennis Capotesco. It's tough to pronounce. And I do know Dennis well, don't get me wrong. And then Santino Catalano. He's our drummer. He's using the ET kit and the cowbell. And
I was just going to ask, how do you approach in this band? How do you approach the drum parts? Because obviously Def Leppard is a very unique situation where from Hysteria on, you've got Rick Allen doing that amazing. It never ceases to amaze me watching what he does on stage with one arm. How do you replicate that and not overplay the parts? Is it just a discipline that your drummer has to? I'm not adding a bunch of fills. I'm playing it as it is.
Yeah, he's playing it pretty much note for note.
Yeah,
you know, that's the easiest way to explain it.
And using the electronic kit to emulate that big drum sound, you know. Yeah. So
yeah, because you know, the acoustic sound of a drum is obviously much different than the ET kit. And you know, the ET kit also, for setup purposes and what have you, it's XLR in, XLR out. And bang, all of a sudden he's hooked up, right? You know, spreads it open. You know, obviously he does not have an ET kit like Rick Allen, but the kit he has it's more than sufficient. And yeah, it sounds amazing. And there's a huge difference in, like I said, in the sound with the Def Leppard. It's almost like the Jackson PC1 that I have with the Sustainiac. You need one guitarist in the band that has one of those if you're going to play Def Leppard. Same with the ET. You think that's a fair statement? Eh?
Yeah.
You need that ET kit because, like you said, it's that big, wide sound.
Yeah, like even if you're playing songs from High and Dry or Pyromania, you can't just plug, set a regular drum setup with a regular snare sound, regular tom sound, and have it sound like that. You need that electronic boost. You're still playing the parts, but you need that extra sonic thing happening. As far as your set lists go, and Pat, you sent me some samples of your set list, and I was really blown away by the variety. But when it comes to learning the songs, are there any songs that, on one hand, weren't as hard as you thought they were going to be to learn, and conversely, were there songs that you thought, oh, we'll get this, and then it took you forever to get it nailed? What songs would those be?
Well, I'll give you an example, and it's a very, very cool question. Okay. Rock Brigade. Okay. I remember seeing them. They opened for, your t-shirt.
One of my favorites.
Right. Yeah, we played Sunday night rehearsal, and he turned to me and said, Patty, that's one of my favorite songs. That's right.
Really, really kicks. Yeah.
There's a simple D, C, G, all the way up and down the neck. Okay. Solo is a little trickier, but it's pretty basic stuff. Now, go to Gods of War.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a lot. How do you approach the dialogue, like the Reagan and the Thatcher? Is that just playback, or how do you approach all the sound effects of the explosions and stuff?
Well, we have a sequencer.
Okay.
We use it on, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much here, but we use it on certain songs, and I'll leave it at that. Not all the songs.
Because I know what you mean. So once the sequencer starts, you got to stay locked in with that, because when that part comes, you got to be where you need to be, right?
Yeah, well, we use the sequencing on Gods of War at the end.
Yeah.
Okay? We don't use it at the beginning because it's so subtle that it's not necessary.
Right.
I'll give you an example where you do need it, and I guess I am letting the cat out of the bag, but that's cool. Love Bites.
Yeah.
We don't have a synth there, a live synth guy, so obviously we're going to use it there. And the other one, which as soon as I hear that click go down, is Fooling. As soon as Tony starts the da 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 da, and I'll do like a little harmonic pinch, and then Frankie Boy comes in here with Lady Love. See, I can sing.
There you go.
And then we're off to the races. But yeah, I mean, it's a matter of charting songs out. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, solo. Def Leppard also has a lot of they've got a lot of innuendos in their songs where, okay, take a song like, remember the song My Sharona by the Knack?
Yeah.
Very straightforward.
Yeah.
The whole way through. Great song. Love that song. Def Leppard songs aren't like that.
Yeah.
There's breaks. There's like the song Animal 2, 3, 4. If you're not on for your count, and I come back with the F sharp, well, it's gonna sound like a car crash, right? And just
the false ending.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Because there's a subtle break in Animal, like a crouching break, and then there's Frankie, Animal 2, 3, 4. Well, if you come in on the 2 instead of the 4,
it's all timing.
Yeah, it's
a train wreck.
Yeah, it's gonna be a train wreck. And just to lock that in and make that super, super tight, it takes time, and you need to know your parts. And that's one thing I'm really, really proud about our guys is, we pick songs and we say, okay, boys, 3 weeks from now on this day, we're going to tackle promises. Okay.
Oh, I love that song.
So do I. So do
Yeah.
I.
When I heard that in the radio in 1999, I thought, all right, the music I love's coming back.
Yeah, we'll be bringing it.
Yeah. We
Right
play-
on. And that doesn't sound easy. Like, that sounds like a challenging song vocally, and who sings what parts, and just to get it to sound correct, just to get the subtleties, because there's lots of subtleties in their music. It's not always Marshalls on 12. Sometimes there's very clean guitar parts mixed with heavy guitar parts, but even the heavy guitar parts, they aren't, the edges are smoothed off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like a rat or
Exactly. Yeah.
like in your face. You can't. I'll never forget. I saw Quiet Riot in Montreal, probably about 7-8 years. It was at this festival, and my buddy Fern, who does our sound sometimes at certain shows, we're playing a big industrial show, corporate show. Yeah, August 26th, and Fern's doing our sound, and he was doing the sound for Quiet Riot. And this guitar player, he had like 8 stacks, he had 6 heads, and I was at their sound check because I was helping Fern out, and it was ridiculous. Like you couldn't tell who was on what part. And I love Quiet Riot, right? But they were just so loud, and like you say, Def Leppard, they take a little bit of that distortion off the end.
Yeah. So, you do Rock Brigade, that's cool. You go all the way back to On Through the Night. But Frankie, I'm going to ask you as a vocalist, how do you approach singing the Def Leppard song, singing Joe's parts? Because one of the things I always loved about the band is, oftentimes when I first got into the band, I'm talking like 88, summer 88, when really it clicked for me. And Hysteria was a cassette that I'd listened to inside out. I've called it my favorite album of all time by anybody. I know it backwards and forwards, but it didn't have the lyrics in it. And it wasn't until I found a copy of the sheet music. And there were certain songs that I had no idea what the actual lyrics were, but I would sing along just like you do. Run Riot is a good example. I had no idea. It said, living by the laws of the bloody necessary born. Where does he sing that? And then I'd listen to it. Oh, that's what he says. So what I'm getting at is a lot of Joe's approach is, I don't even know how to describe it. Not a lot of enunciation, but maybe over enunciating certain parts. There's a lot of like that. Like, how do you approach the I guess the affectations that Joe has to reproduce them?
Yeah. I try to emulate it as best I can with that slangy vibe that he has, when he's singing. It's edgy, and then it goes higher a little bit, and then it gets normal. It's like, I gotta throw everything in there to try to get that, rasp it a bit in certain parts, and it's just the enunciation, because like you do hear a little bit of it in some of the songs. Like you can tell, you can hear it British a little bit,
Yeah.
Some, but yeah, that's basically just get the ear to the ground and work with it,
What are the most challenging? Are there any parts of songs? I want to put you on the spot. I'm just really fascinated by it, because there's always, and not just Def Leppard, but this, I've seen bands in concert, and I'd be like, how are they going to handle this part coming up? The big money note, as it were.
Yeah.
Or even just the contrast. Like, for example, Foolin' starts out very even keel the way he's singing, but when he goes, like when it goes to you're going from like 0 to 60,
right?
Is there anything you got to do to like prep yourself for that, or you just
breathe, baby, breathe?
Yeah. There is a lot of things you got to do, and it's just got to going through your head, like what all your singing coaching and everything you've learned about singing, and from your singing teachers and coaches. It all comes into effect there when you're going from here to here, and how to get it your throat there, you know, how to get the sound out nice and clean and pleasant, you know, because
and have it cut through.
And have it cut through, right? There's little tricks, there's little things we're gonna do, you know. And like I said, there's 4 guys in the band, so we navigate through it and help each other and blend it so it's, you know, stronger in some parts, and lead vocal is that's what we do. That's how we do it, you know.
Are there any songs that have just certain parts that you just kind of think, you know, especially if you got a cold, if you're singing through a cold, you know, I saw them in Fredericton on the Euphoria tour with Joe and Jett opening, and poor Joe had lost his voice. He sounded really good for the first 3 or 4 songs. He apologized to the crowd, but the fact is that you've got those other guys that can all sing. They muddled through it. But there are parts of songs that you're just thinking, oh, that's coming up. Like what are some? I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't want, because
no, it's a good question,
man. Like, I'm going to watch him when he gets to that.
Yeah, well, that's it. Everyone's watching this video and they're going to say, here comes this song that he's going to.
We can talk about it after the fact. You can say that was one of them.
Yeah. Well, of course, obviously, I mean, it's Joe Elliott, right? And people are listening to these songs, studio version back in the 1980s and 90s when, you know, you had Mutt Lang and 300 guys working on his voice, you know?
Yeah. You mentioned Love Bites. That's always seemed to me like that's got to be really tough to pull off, especially towards the end. But yeah, no question about it. You know, I know you guys will do it. I have faith in you.
And if I can just jump in here, Tim, you know, when I first met Frankie and we sat down, had a cup of coffee, and went over this project, because, you know, I'm the one that started this band, and, you know, I kind of like run it type thing. I mean, you know, obviously all my bandmates, you know, input is welcome, right? It's not like my way or the highway. That's not
the buck's got to stop with somebody.
Yeah, someone's got to kind of take charge, and I do that, right? And I think I do it well. I mean, we're playing a lot. We're playing some great stages.
We've got over 24, 25, 26 shows booked for this year, so it's
we're playing
very
a lot.
busy.
And you know, I've also started booking for 2024. So, you know, I treat this band almost like my transport business. I treat it very professional, and it shows. Where the band sounds great, and we're playing a lot. That's the goal, right? But back to what I was going to say, when I sat down with Frankie, you know, I told him, I said, Frankie, this is Def Leppard. This is Joe Elliott, right? And, you know, last year I saw them in Toronto on the stadium tour with Motley Crue and the gang. God, Poison were so great. They were so amazing.
I love Poison. I know they got a lot of haters, but they put on a fun show and they got fun songs.
And you know what? You just nailed, not to get off the Def Leppard topic, but I mean, Bret Michaels is just great. He can still sing. CC's Bill, you know.
CC's a riot. He's a party unto himself.
And they're just a fun band. And, you know, do you not go to a concert and pay, I think it was $300 for the ticket or whatever it was. Do you not go to have fun?
Yeah, you should. That should be the goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, so when Frankie and I sat down and, you know, we had a long discussion about, you know, commitment and all that stuff. I told him, I said, Frankie, I'm not expecting Joe Elliott, because there's one Joe Elliott. I'm expecting you, who has a really good voice, great tone. His tone's amazing. Okay. And you're going to hear that the night of the 14th. Because you gotta let me buy you a beer. You know, make the songs yours. Make the songs yours. Because I don't care what anybody says. Nobody is gonna walk out there and sound like Axl Rose exactly. Because there's only one Axl Rose. There's only one Joe Elliott. Come as close as you can. Like he said, all the innuendos, include those, but make the songs yours. You know, because even last year, like, you know, to answer the question, my opinion, the hardest song that he has to sing is Love Bites and Photograph.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Because there's no breaks. It's
No.
all, the verses are high, the chorus is high. It's not like it's like you can, I find it fascinating, but if you follow a band throughout their career, they learn these things after a while. Let's take it easy in the verse and then we kick it up a notch in the chorus. But Photograph is just, but that's, you know, he was what, 20? You know,
Yeah.
or 23, 22 when he recorded Pyromania. So it's like, just go for it. Don't worry about, nobody thought that these guys would still be doing it this many years down the road. But it's one of those, it's just a challenging song and people expect it to sound the way it sounds. So you can't sing it an octave lower. You can't drop tune it. It won't sound like the same song anymore.
Yeah, and then, like, even last year when I saw them in Toronto, you know, Photograph, Bill Collin, who can go pretty high in the register. Okay.
Yeah.
He was singing parts where Joe Elliott before was singing solo.
Yeah.
He's now singing it with him.
Yeah.
Just to get that.
Yep.
That fuller sound.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, look, I mean, U2, they're tuned down to C sharp.
Songs that would have been an E.
Yeah.
That's quite a ways. That's quite a, I mean, it's different. It's a different sound. It doesn't sound, it takes your ear a while to go, oh, that's what they're doing. That's what song it is.
Yeah, but you know, the reason, Tim, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, the reason is because Bono
to accommodate the vocal. It's always to accommodate the vocals. Yeah.
That's right. You know, 1982 Bono and 2023 Bono. Well, it's you know, it's a different age. It's a different, you know, it's a
there
different.
are just a handful of guys that can still kind of do it the way they used to do it. I think Sammy Hagar still sounds pretty good for his age.
Yeah.
You know, but there aren't very many. It's a short list. I mean, you know, the greats, Lou Gramm, you know, his songs are way, way, way down now, but people still love the songs. But yet there's an example. You get Kelly Hansen singing for Foreigner and he doesn't sound exactly like Lou, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
So yeah, people love this music. People grew up with this music. It's like, this stuff was, you know, Hysteria, that summer of '88, that's pretty much all I listened to were the first 4 albums. And it was hardcore. Got the Hysteria home video, watched that all the time. I mean, this music means something to people. It was, you know, there's a reason that album sold as many copies as it did. It hit a nerve with people. But, you know, to replicate it, I didn't even think about it back then, but it's not a matter of going up on stage, plugging in and
no, it's, and you know, one of the experiences that people get, and people in Fredericton and the 2 shows in Nova Scotia are going to be part of that, is we're a fun band. We're a fun band to party with. We're a fun band to, you know, to go back to 1986 to 1992. Oh God, my God, the Gods of War, Fooling, Animal, Armageddon. You know, I mean, Def Leppard has everything for anybody. They've got pop music, they got the heavy raunch guitar, they've got the ballads.
We're gonna get them out on the dance floor in Fredericton for sure.
Yeah, you know, we're a fun band to you know, to come see. And like I said earlier, isn't that the whole objective?
Yeah, it should. Yeah, it should definitely be. So, guys, as Def Leppard fans, what would your favorite, if you had to list your favorite album and favorite song? Is that something that's easy to do, or is it just too many vying for that top spot?
In my opinion, there's so many. Like, I gotta go with Pyromania, though. I would think, you know, maybe Photograph.
Yeah.
Hysteria, you know, I mean, great album also.
Really easy for me,
you know.
Hysteria.
Yeah.
I mean,
to me, that's a perfect album.
I play, you know, I have a regimen daily. I play 14 Def Leppard songs one day and 14 the next. Okay, because we have our set list is 28 songs. Okay, time restraints. I own a business, et cetera, but that's my regimen of 14 one day, 14 the next day, 14 back. I mean, my wife knows every bloody Def Leppard lyric there is in the world.
Every note.
Yeah. You got the song, you don't have to play it every day, but I just love playing them. And the song unequivocally for me, Tim, is Hysteria. I was playing it an hour ago. I was just on my acoustic guitar.
We definitely kill that one. I mean, we
do.
We got that one down.
I love that song. It's such a well put together song.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there are certain songs I think I would call them perfect songs. And they have a few. I think Photograph is a perfect song. I think Armageddon is a perfect song. Promises was absolutely insanely good. And even, last year they put out Diamond Star Halos, and I was thrilled to see it in your set list. Take What You Want, the first song on that. I said, that is the best Def Leppard song. That is the best song they've come up with probably since Promises, the best single song they've come, because that is fantastic. Like, that's the essence of what I've always loved about this band. And Dee Snider from Twisted Sister said, he had a quote. He wasn't talking about Def Leppard, but he said, when you see an old band and they sound old and they sound tired, it makes you feel old. But when you see an old band that sounds young and revitalized, it makes you feel young. And that's what I thought when I first put on Diamond Star Halos and Take What You Want comes on. I'm like, this is my band. They've rarely let me down. I'm not saying I like 100% of everything they've ever done, but I've bought it all. And I've listened to it all, and it's that, and to know that we got a band heading our way that's going to bring that to life. I'm really, really looking forward to that. So,
yeah,
guys, is there anything, like, am I missing anything? What else do you want the people to know about the band?
Well, just that buy a ticket, come out and have some fun with us.
We're coming down to have a good time.
We're coming down to have a good time.
We're gonna rock the place.
We're gonna rock the place. We're just a fun band to hang out with, and we're a fun band to watch and interact. And when I start riding that string for Let's Get Rocked, I mean, it's a great feeling, right? And their music is great, and we play it pretty damn well. And we're really proud of our band, and we're really, really excited to come down and
the East Coast tour.
East Coast, yeah, the tour.
East Coast, yeah, East Coast, eh? So guys, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate this. Where can people find you online to experience? I know, your website, but where do people find more information about you online?
Basically the website, which is HysteriaMTL.com. We have all our videos there. We have all
the shows are listed.
All our shows are listed, our upcoming shows. We can be reached. I can be reached by phone. Someone wants to give me a call or text me, by email.
We also have a Facebook page as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's how I reached out. When I heard the show was coming, I thought, oh, what the heck? I'll message them. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. And I'm
that's how this happened.
So happy you did, Tim. And, even for bookings for 2024, anybody comes to our show and they'd like to, I don't know, they have a corporate show. We've done a few corporate shows, big shows. And, if anybody would ever be interested in, engaging us for a corporate show, reach out and let's talk. Let's talk.
All right. Awesome. So, Hysteria Montreal, tribute to Def Leppard, coming to the East Coast. And they're going to be at, I'm going to be seeing them Dolan's Pub in Fredericton Wednesday. It's a Wednesday night, but you can do it. You can all do it. You can all get up in the morning, go to work. Fine. And hope to see some people there, some Def Leppard fans. And I've been hyping it up. So I hope you get a good crowd. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I may or may not have some swag for you if the mail cooperates. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Pat and Frankie, for talking to me. And look, good luck on all your shows on the tour, and looking forward to seeing you in Fredericton.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Hysteria Montreal tribute to Def Leppard. Hope everyone's enjoyed this interview. If you're in the area and they're playing, go get yourself a ticket. You won't be disappointed. If you're a Def Leppard fan, it's just what the doctor ordered. I want to thank everybody for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. We'll see you later.